Hey guys, welcome to the Rookie Mistake Winx Stakes Day recap on a Monday. Beautiful day up here in Brizzy. The sun is shining and it is warm. We've got the massive Memsie Stakes Day on Saturday that's coming. That's essentially the start of the Melbourne Spring Carnival. If you do want to get involved, $120 a month. I'll also send out the futures tips for the next couple of days to anyone that signs up. The other guys got those on Thursday. We've already had a massive shortener, $11 into $6 out of those futures tips. You'll get the 8 tips on Saturday, 5 on Wednesday. No direct debit, pay as you go. So what do I think about the Spring Carnival moving forward? I've got to say, guys, I've been following racing religiously for the last 30 years plus, and this is the best Spring Carnival I've seen loading for about 30 years. And that goes back to a year that had, you know, Scalacci, Naturalism, Vienda Cross, Rough Habit, what have you. Absolutely massive. We were blessed in the 90s to have some absolute champions going around, but I can tell you this spring is loading like something equivalent. Now obviously I've had a heap of emails, a heap of messages about Aliana. To the uninitiated, the new Rookie Mistake followers, story is I identified that last spring as being well, let's be honest, I was saying it was a possible champion. Back in about February, I had to get the corporates to put her in the Caulfield Cup market. So basically what the information that people were requesting is, if you're sitting there with a futures ticket, what would be the best play? So I'm currently on, I've pinned the couple of tiny bets. I've got multiple bets going on her. $34 in the Caulfield Cup, $50 in the Cox Plate I got. So yeah, basically a lot of my followers from back then that loaded up, they're just asking how to play it. So what I would say to that is, I will be giving out information periodically through the Rookie Mistake subscription service, basically just telling people what I'm doing. So I'll be talking them through that. At the moment, there's no major move that needs to be made there. Obviously, if you're on those sort of prices, you've got options to chop out and save on other runners as we get closer to the event. So if a horse sort of jumps out of the ground, and I think it's going to be a good competitor to Aliana, I mean, miracles happen, I can't see it happening, but if that happens, and then closer to the day, we'll give out options that you can look at. Basically not just to lock in a profit, because look, we got the huge overs. We're looking to have a fill up on Aliana over the spring, and we're sitting pretty at the moment, because what a return that was of her. Huge run first up, her first go at Weight for Age. She's been beaten ahead by the outstanding Weight for Age horse in Australia. And I'll tell you something, Waller's been dropping just little tiny hints and clues throughout the year. If you're looking for it, which obviously I am, with my opinion that I have of Aliana. And if you read between the lines, he's been doing it all year. I think that they have a huge opinion of Aliana. And I'll tell you another thing that happened. Obviously, J-Mac didn't ride her on Saturday, but totally unprompted in his interview, he brought her up. And he started talking about seeing this horse go. He basically said Via Sistina couldn't go any faster, and this horse was coming up beside him. He said he saw a shadow, and he was like, who could that possibly be? I think he's foxing. I think they know exactly how good she is, and he knew exactly who that was there. So she's back into $8 in the Caulfield Cup. Now, the futures market play that I sent out was $11 in the Turnbull. Now, I think it's quite possible she goes there and Via Sistina go there, and at $11 it was a bet to nothing. I think, you know, she's got a good chance of beating Via Sistina in the Turnbull on her way to hopefully the Caulfield Cup, because we've got a huge sort of position there in the Caulfield Cup this year. So she's back into $8. What I was telling everyone was, if Chris Waller came out and confirmed that she's going to the Caulfield Cup, I think you'd see her shorten to about $3 immediately. I think if she starts on the day, she'll be around $3, that sort of thing. Now, bearing in mind, in the autumn, I did a similar video, and I was saying that she would start short odds in the Oaks. Now, obviously, they went to the Derby. Who thought they were going to go to the Derby? We loaded up on the Derby as well eventually. But, you know, if she'd started in the Oaks in Sydney, she would have been very short price favourite. I think if he confirms that's where she's going, she immediately shortens. I can't see how he goes to the Cox Plate with her. I think Via Sistina's travelling brilliantly, obviously. I think J-Mac will stay with Via Sistina, and the obvious play is to get in to the Caulfield Cup with a light handicap, which she's only ever won one Group 1. Got beaten by a Nostril in the 1,000 Guineas, got beaten by a head on Saturday, got beaten by a nose by broadsiding. So there's not many penalties there. She's going to get in with a super lightweight, and as we've seen in the past, she eats up the 2,400. So it just makes sense that they'll go to the Caulfield Cup. I wouldn't be surprised if they were looking for a better price when he said that he wouldn't confirm where she was going. Then he started talking about the Cox Plate. I think that would be her grand final. She won't go on to the Melbourne Cup, and I think he'll be looking essentially to keep Via Sistina and Aliana separate in the grand final. Now, they may run against each other in, say, the Underwood, the Turnbull, moving forward, but I think for their grand finals, if you're a trainer who has their legacy in mind, which Chris Waller does, he can win the Cox Plate with Via Sistina and certainly win the Caulfield Cup with Aliana. So why wouldn't you do that? But he has shown in the past that he can pull a Swifty and go elsewhere, i.e. the Derby in the autumn. But the fact that he ran her against the boys all through the autumn is telling you something. They've got a huge opinion of this horse. Now, as I said, that was her first run at Weight for Age. The other thing I'd touch on is I think Via Sistina's ideal distance is around 2,000 metres, and I think Aliana's is 2,400 metres plus. It'd be great to see Aliana win a Melbourne Cup at some stage. I mean, that would be fantastic. I think it's going to be difficult after this year, and I don't think he will run her in the Melbourne Cup this year. So I think if he circles back to a Melbourne Cup campaign next year, she's going to get a big weight. So she'll have won multiple Group 1s by then. So it's a little bit sticky, but for the Caulfield Cup this year, it's hard for me to see a horse that can match up with her over that sort of distance. And if she was to draw a barrier, yeah, it would be game over in my opinion. And I think J-Mac talking about her, she's 4 years younger than Via Sistina. He's probably angling for the ride down the track. However, Frosty Lane rode her so well in the Derby in Sydney that I think he would be hard to get off, and he was flying up to ride her in trials in Sydney in preparation for her first up run. So I think Frosty Lane will be hard to get off the horse, but J-Mac's not stupid. Best jockey I've ever seen, and yeah, he knew to keep his hat in the ring. So that's all I'd say. And if you want my opinion, like basically the stuff I keep for the subs that I text message out, the best way to do that is to sign up, rookiemistakePod@gmail.com. Now, obviously, Autumn Glow, very good win, very good horse. I assume that'll go to the Epsom now. Was a really, really good win. Getting up the inside there, which I do believe was the inferior part of the track, specifically where he went on that, but it was still too good. So rather than risk any pocket or any trouble, J-Mac's just gone up and ridden it like a good thing. So Via Sistina, again, on track for the Cox Plate. Couple of tips that I sent out to the subs. We could have had a huge day on Saturday, but we were a little bit unlucky in a couple of races. I did tip Nelly Laylax at $5 to beat Saltcoats at $1.80. So that was a classic case. I just wanted to touch on, because that was a classic case of Nelly Laylax, to me, just looked like a total swimmer. There's certain things I look for in horses. Other than breeding, it's bred to be a swimmer, but it's also, how do I put this without giving it away? Yeah, it's got a bit of a daisy cutter action, the sort of thing that you look for with good wet track horses, but there's a lot more to that, where they sit in the run, and that's about all I'll say. But yeah, so I was pretty confident on that. I only tipped 2 horses in Sydney on Saturday to the Super Sales. One was 30-1. It was a bit of a throw at the stumps. The value play of the day didn't get anywhere, and this one, Nelly Laylax at $5, which is absolutely belted Saltcoats. But all the coat tuggers out there, they wanted to tip your Saltcoats. So buyer beware is what I always say. Another one, which the guys will know is a favourite of mine, Larrikin Rogue. I just cannot believe it didn't win. As soon as it got out of the pocket, I thought it was home. If you look at the head on, it did get a massive bump, and sometimes with horses, when they bump like that, they can become winded. It can throw the horse off its balance. It can just mean the horse doesn't want to attack the line. There's a lot of things that can happen, and it was a substantial bump that it got into with a horse on its outside that wasn't going to be in the finish, and it's been beaten probably a neck in the end, but you couldn't have enough on that horse before the bump. I thought it was just going to win. Now, the free tip that I gave out on here on Saturday, wow, Arcadian Emperor, what a run. I did say win only, but I said if you want to throw it in your multis, a few guys did that reached out to me. It was $3.20 the place. Huge run, should have won. If you look at what I think it was Kyle Wilson Taylor was doing at 300, just unbelievable what he was doing on it. It was caught back in the ruck, and if you'd paused it there at about the 250 and gone, that horse runs second, people would have said you were crazy. So it's a big striding horse. Why he went back to the inside in between, back into the ruck, I don't know. Some of the jockeys up here, yeah, some of their decisions they make are just mind-boggling. So follow that horse moving forward. I already mentioned it on the Saturday, so everyone's well versed in it. That would be one of those sort of horses that I'd keep under wraps, but I did mention it on Saturday, so follow that horse going forward. Now we've got the Memsie coming in on Saturday. Don't know if you guys have tried this, but Solo Zero Sugar, I'm not sure what's in there. That tastes almost identical to the actual Solo, but don't know what they replaced the sugar with. Carcinogen, probably. We've got the Memsie on Saturday. Huge field, incredible field, and this is where we're starting to get into the opinion-based betting, which is I pride myself on. I do a lot of work in the background. Most of my tips come from what I see, my video work. Everyone's got the data, as they call it. Everyone's got those, and you know who's got the best data? The bookies. So the corporates all have the sectionals and all that sort of thing. You have to have an edge. You have to see something that they're not seeing. And even leading into that race of Aliana, I didn't hear too many people saying she was going to have a big spring. Now suddenly she's a champion. So and she's going to take all before her. So one horse, guys will know on here that I have never said it's not a good horse, but I'm going to be taking it on through the spring as Treasure the Moment. I thought that was a really weak Oaks, and she only just fell in. The fact that Matt Laurie's saying she'll get 2,400 against open class horses, I would strongly suggest she won't be getting 2,400 against the best horses. In fact, I hope he takes on Aliana in the Caulfield Cup. Please do. You'll be getting belted. So that's a horse that may start first up in the Memsie, and that's the sort of horse I'll be looking to take on. So that race is on Saturday. She did trial very well, Treasure the Moment, but look, I think there's better horses in that race. Got a couple of questions about Mr. Brightside. Look, I think it's very difficult for him. I think he would probably have to stay at the level he was at about 18 months ago to compete with these stars that are coming through, and I just don't see it. So I don't think Mr. Brightside will be winning a Group 1 during the spring. There, I said it, but I've been wrong in the past. But yeah, I'll be taking him on as well, and cannot wait for that race on Saturday, because there'll be some big runs back in the pack behind them, I would suggest. So that's what we've got to look forward to, guys. Hopefully I've helped you today with some tips. Huge spring. We'll be having fill-ups. We're so close. There's only a couple of weeks ago we had 2 winners and 2 seconds, and the 2 seconds should have won, and Impervious has come out of, that was one of the seconds that we had, has come out on Saturday and bolted in, and Larrikin Rogue was the other second, so it's come out and basically done everything but win on Saturday. So we're so close to a fill up. Now's the time to sign up. I cannot stress that enough. I'm going to be in that backyard with a beer in my hand, saluting all these super subs out there. Again, there's no direct debit. It's just $120 a month, and you pay as you go. If you want to bail after a month, that's good, and I keep the numbers limited. So that's all I've got today, guys. I'll be back on Wednesday, most probably with a free value tip, or if I choose against that, I'll be back on Friday. So cannot wait for the spring. There's so many stars coming back. There's probably a whole bunch of untapped 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds that are coming through. Autumn Glow, we haven't seen Lady Shenandoah yet, Aliana, Via Sistina. The Melbourne Cup's going to be a great race because it's wide open. The futures guys out there have got a tip, actually 2 tips in the Melbourne Cup that I like at value, and cannot wait for the spring. So that's it for me today. Beautiful day up here. Get out in the sun, enjoy it. It's starting to warm up. What a country. Rookie Mistake out.